I shouldn't be allowed out in public. This is embarrassing. Hello everyone, welcome back to Ink and Fig. My name is Alex, and it has been a while. I haven't updated in several days. It's been over a week. For sure it's been over a week. We're going through it. Like, I know we kind of saw it at the end of my last vlogs, but like, the mental health is not going well at the moment. I think I'm coming out of it, which is great because it's been a very long haul. So what have I done while I was gone? I binge watched from the start the entirety of Umbrella Academy because we finished season 3 and it absolutely slaps. If you haven't seen it yet, go do it. If you haven't seen the whole series yet, do yourself a favor, go watch it. So good. The flavor of the show changes every season, I think, in a very interesting way. Like, it's sort of almost campy in the first season, and then it gets like very 60s mod in the second season, and the third season is another animal entirely. You could definitely tell that this was a season of TV that was sort of filmed during the pandemic, because we had a lot of, like, without spoiling anything, there's sort of a lot of remote characters, and then it's very sort of hyper-focused in on the family and what they're doing. So it's sort of just the key ensemble cast and not too many other people. And I think we're seeing a lot of that in the most recent seasons of television right now. The seasons we're watching now were filmed while COVID restrictions were still a thing, and it just resulted in some really interesting script choices. And I think it ultimately, from like the COVID programming that I've seen, it seems to have resulted in a lot of very introspective television, which I actually really like. So yeah, I really enjoyed season 3. If you've watched it, let me know what you thought. If you haven't watched it yet, please go do. It's so good. Reading. Because we're doing a bit of a mental health struggle at the moment, my reading has suffered. We're in a major slump, which is great because I'm simultaneously reading 3 books, and I've made progress in exactly one of them. So we will talk about that one last, of course. So what am I working on at the moment? Where we left off, I was working on, I'm gonna put this over here. I was working on Manhunt when last we spoke. Haven't read any more of this. Considering where my brain is at, it might be another couple of weeks before I get to this, but I am still gonna be chipping away at this. It's not gonna be removed from the TBR, but it's certainly still going to be slow going. We're also working on The Lost Apothecary. I am further along in this than I was before. I think, not by a whole lot. No, okay. I've put 40 pages behind me in this book, which is not bad. It still isn't grabbing me quite as much, but we're making progress. Our characters are doing things, and I think the present day timeline is starting to move along a little bit, which is great. It's still just not my thing. I don't know. I'm gonna finish it because I have promised myself I'm finishing it, but I'm not necessarily enjoying the ride, and I honestly think that that's probably what's causing my reading slump, because every time I try to finish these books, this one and The Once and Future Witches, I always have so much trouble sticking with them and like getting through my TBR in the months that I have these, which is ultimately why I want to get them off my plate. I just want to get them gone so I can stop thinking about them, stop like worrying about them, and stop getting trumped by them. I want to overcome these, and I will. So A Darker Shade of Magic. I think I might just not like V.E. Schwab's writing. Is that like a fair assessment? I don't know. She seems really popular, you know what I mean? And I feel like I am in the wrong here, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever had that where you've like come up against a reasonably well-known or like famous writer and you're the one that doesn't like them. It's like, okay, am I the problem? Am I the problem? I might be the problem. Anyway, ultimately it's fine. I don't have to like her. Not to say that it's bad. It's sort of exactly the same thing as with Addie LaRue, is like where I can see why it's popular and I understand why people enjoy it, but also I'm just not vibing with it. Like, the characters are kind of edgy in that way that YA characters are edgy, you know what I mean? Like, edgy for the sake of edginess rather than you know, edgy for a purpose, or like they're not themselves. You know, they're a trope, or they're a kind of character, they're an archetype, and they just don't feel real to me. That being said, I also don't really like the plot that much, I guess. It's very sort of one note, which is fine, but it kind of feels like we're just dragging this along. And I made a comment in regards at what, this obviously wasn't made on camera, so like don't necessarily go look for it, but I made a comment at one point when I was reading Addie LaRue last year where I was like, it feels like we're just kind of, you know, zapping from place to place, and we're not really seeing a whole lot of substance in between these moments. And it was sort of posited to me that, well, what if that's the point? Because in Addie LaRue, you're sort of jumping through time with her, right? So like that could be a form mimicking the content kind of thing, which like, fair enough. However, I think I may have had something there, because I feel the exact same sensation when I'm reading A Darker Shade of Magic. The pacing of the narrative feels very transient. I don't really feel like we're like getting into the meat of a scene, and we're not really getting into the meat of the characters. It feels like these characters are kind of existing in open space. You know, in TV shows or something where they do like a dream sequence and they're like in a black room or a white room, and it's sort of like supposed to be like a dream introspection, like your inside voice kind of scene. That's what I get from the whole narrative. I feel like the characters are just existing in various colored rooms, which kind of isn't helped by the fact that these cities are called Grey London, Red London, White London, and then Black London, where all I can say is we haven't gone to yet, but I imagine, considering this is a trilogy, we're probably going to go to Black London at some point. It feels very much like we're just existing in various colored rooms, having one-on-one scenes with each other. I don't feel a lot of flavor from the background. I don't feel a lot of grounding in these scenes. It just all feels very transient to me. So that might be a me thing. I'm starting to think it's a V.E. Schwab thing. I think that it could be done better. I am at, I think, last I checked, the 65-ish% mark, so I'm getting there. That's where I'm kind of leaving off right now. My goal for this week is to finish one of these books. It's probably going to be A Darker Shade of Magic, but you know, who knows? Maybe The Lost Apothecary is going to get really good in the back half, and that'll completely flip around my whole everything about this experience. So we'll see where that goes. In the meantime, I have reserved a copy. I was shocked to find two things, actually. I will tell you about these in sequence. The first thing I was shocked to find was that the first volume of the Umbrella Academy graphic novel, or comic, or however it's classified, is in stock at my library, physical. So I put a hold on it. It is in transit to my branch now. There's a solid possibility I will have that tomorrow. The second thing I was shocked to find is that my library carries at least the first volume of Umbrella Academy in German. This is extremely exciting for me because I have kind of a conundrum at the moment wherein one of my reading goals for 2022 is to read a book in German. I never specified what the book had to be, but it needs to be a book. So my thought is, now I'm going to get myself on the wait list for Umbrella Academy in German, and by that time I will have read the volume in English, so I know more or less what I'm getting into, and then I can meet that goal for the year, which I'm very excited about, actually, because I honestly was getting concerned that I might not be able to make that goal happen. So I'm going to go to any other room in my house right now because it is blisteringly hot for Calgary. I think it's like 32 or something right now, which for us here is egregious, and I'm just sweaty and uncomfortable and cranky about it. I'm also in the south-facing room, the singular south-facing room in my house, which gets the hottest. Enough from me for now. I will see you in the next clip. Thank you for sticking around. I'm glad you're still here. Good morning. It's Wednesday. I'm running late, so I'm packing lunch while we talk. I actually did some reading last night. I know, shocking. I read about 30 pages of The Lost Apothecary last night. The Other Shoe has finally dropped for Carolyn. who is our present day main character. So we've got sort of three main characters. So sort of a middle-aged apothecary character. Her name is Nella. She's in like 1970 something. No, 1797. Clearly what we're learning is that my brain doesn't do well with numbers first thing in the morning. Then 12-year-old Eliza is bound and determined to work with her because she has some interesting struggles of her own that she believes that magic can fix. Not that Nella has ever professed to be doing magic. She's poisoning people. So we've got those two. And then in present day I think is 2018, 19, somewhere in there, pre-pandemic anyway, is Carolyn. And she has just recently separated from her husband, whom I believe she discovered was cheating. So that's fun. She is in England to try to recover from this marriage of hers that's just fallen apart. And she is slowly discovering the hidden past of Nella and Eliza. The other shoe has finally dropped for Carolyn, and I'm glad for that because honestly, her story has so far been the least interesting to me. I think because it's just so mundane. We're nearing the end. I'm on page 230-ish, so I've got about 70 pages left. Anyhow, that is it for right now. Thank you for tuning into today, and I will see you in tomorrow's clip where hopefully I will have some more progress for you. Delivery coming today and it didn't show up. Just kidding. Let's go take a shower. And the package showed up on its own. When I started this YouTube channel, one of the things that I told myself that I was going to start doing in my life was to start doing exactly what my brain tells me I can't. My favorite thing. Inside of the box is another smaller box. Turns out, beginner violins are actually quite inexpensive. I can't believe I did this. Holy shit. It's a real instrument, oh my god. It's Saturday. I'm going to the record shop because I have no self-control. It has been a dramatic morning. So, I went to the record store. I got some vinyl. Turns out, which I probably should have guessed from all the reviews I read before I bought it, the Victrola does not play vinyl very well. So, I'm returning it. I went out and got something else. So let me show you what it is that I got. So I ended up getting this Audio-Technica turntable, which just off the bat works, which is kind of nice. And we got a little Bose portable speaker, which is currently charging, which is why it's over there. For this, we played it a little bit. It sounds great. This is what I got at the record store. So I picked up Rammstein's album. This one was released in 2019. So this is their second newest album. This album is great. Honestly, I'm glad I got this. I have ordered Sight. It's coming in the mail next week, hopefully. I happened to find Billie Eilish's album, and I was not expecting to find it because it's like sold out online everywhere, so I was like, huh, guess I'm grabbing it. And then I got the most important album of all time. Christmas simply cannot happen without this. And I was afraid that they might mark it up by the time Christmas rolls around, so I just grabbed it now, and I'm like, you know what? I have it. The album itself, or the vinyl itself, is red, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so that was my morning adventure. Aside from that, I got a good portion of the Umbrella Academy read this morning. We're going on a full round trip here. So I got a good portion of the Umbrella Academy read this morning. I've got one chapter left, and then apparently this volume also has one or two of the short stories. It's really different from the show. I'm kind of still like coming to terms with that, because I honestly don't think it's as good, and I think that was kind of the consensus that I heard the last time I was looking up the graphic novels, or the comics. Like, just off the bat, everyone's really mean to Grace. Like, Grace deserves better than this. She, you know, has some problems, obviously, but, like, I'm going to call Victor's character Vanya for the purposes of the graphic novel, because Vanya did not transition in the comics. So, absolutely zero shade to Victor. I'm separating the characters based on the setting. Vanya's character is super hypersexualized so far, which I'm not into, because frankly, Elliot Page's version is a lot more relatable in a lot of ways. I'm going to be finishing this now, hopefully. I have somewhere to be in a couple of hours, and I think that I can punch the rest of this out in about an hour, so that's what I'm going to do right now, and I will follow up with you when I finish. Alright, so incidentally, I'm done. It was interesting. It was very different. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so superhero-y, if that makes sense. Like, I think the show definitely took it on more of a direction of, like, family dynamics and people and sort of coming to terms with a death in the family, but under extraordinary circumstances. A couple of the things that really caught me up, Diego being blonde really got me. Allison being white really got me. Like, got me in the sense of kind of tripped me up. I wasn't really sure what to think about that. The fact that we don't actually learn Luther's name in this entire volume, I thought was kind of interesting. I think he was the only one whose name we didn't hear even once. Like, we only heard Klaus's name once. Diego, I think we got 2 or 3 times. Allison was mostly referred to as Allison, and Vanya obviously was almost only referred to as Vanya. 5, of course, doesn't have a conventional name. And yeah, Luther, we didn't learn his name at all. So that was kind of interesting. One of the things, I don't know if this was necessarily intentional or not, but there are some faces in here that, that 5 makes, particularly close to the end. I'm going to see if I can find one of the panels with it. There's, yeah, in the bottom here, you've got these really, like, sort of terrified, wide-eyed looks from 5, and there's a couple of scenes in the show where the actor who plays 5 really, I think, got those eyes down, and it's sort of a manic look, I guess. Like, when you can see the whites all around someone's eyes, it's a very, you know, startling experience for a viewer, because it generally means strong emotion, like terror or, you know, something like that, right? So it's a very expressive way to move your face, and I thought it's interesting how well the actor kind of translated that from this, whether or not that was intentional. I think what I gleaned from the interviews that I've been watching about Umbrella Academy, that actor, Aidan Gallagher, he was the only one who read the comics before getting the job. So he actually had, like, a history with the source material before getting hired. At least in my mind, that probably informed his performance, in contrast to some of the other actors, wherein, like, a lot of changes were clearly made. I thought dialogue-wise, Diego was the closest. between the source text and on screen. However, the way that he is played on screen is a lot more human, particularly in terms of the whole Grace storyline. Like, he was sort of the first one to be mean to her in the comic, which really shocked me. Everyone was very, very mean to Grace. And there was a lot more crime fighting, which I think I already mentioned in my last clip, but like there was a lot of crime fighting in here, which I thought was kind of fun, but also like we didn't really take that direction. Sort of separately from this whole reading experience, I've been kind of comparing and contrasting Umbrella Academy and like My Hero Academia, wherein we're both dealing with groups of very special people, right? Like they have these incredible powers and they can do anything, basically. And they're both supposed to be superheroes, right? And yet the folks from Umbrella Academy don't really do a lot of heroing. Even with Luther, like, he doesn't really do a lot of heroing. Now, granted, that was because he was stuck on the moon for a couple of years, which, like, you know, if ever there was an excuse, that's a good excuse. But, like, in the comic, he was also up on the moon for quite a while, and yet when he came back, it kind of didn't affect anything. Like, he just went straight back to being, you know, the hero, the number one. And in the show, he kind of, I don't know, turned into like a... I think they tried to make a nod to that, and then it didn't stick, and now he's just in the third series going, oh, no one listens to me, can I have some cashew butter? And I'm like... What a weird character arc he's been on. What a weird character arc they've all been on, honestly. Like, anyway, that is done. I am going to my parents' house for a barbecue now, so I'm gonna go do that. And then when I get home, I'm gonna reevaluate what I'm reading next. I'm still in the middle of... Oh god, what was the audiobook I was reading? A Darker Shade of Magic. I think I'm still exactly where I was the last time we spoke about it, so at about 63%, somewhere in there. Anyway, I'm gonna go to this barbecue. I'm gonna have a good time. We're gonna eat some food, drink some cold drinks, and try not to overheat. I am so hot, it actually hurts. I'm picking up A Darker Shade of Magic. I've only got 40-odd% left. And I'm gonna finish it. Because I told myself I would. So I'm going to. All I can do is lay here and listen to an audiobook right now. Like, that's all that I have in me. This is gonna be a weird vlog. I figured I should probably come and wrap up the vlog, let you know how the week went. I finished A Darker Shade of Magic this morning. It's another one of the ones where the ending kind of saved it a little bit. I wasn't terribly interested in most of it, up until the end where, like, things really started happening. This was probably about the last 3.5 hours of the audiobook. I'm not quite sure what that translates into, in terms of, like, page numbers, but that was where, you know, things got a little bit more involved. I started caring a little bit more. I really liked the relationship that they built up between Kel and Rye. I thought that was very, very strong. Lila very much smacked of Addie LaRue in a lot of ways. I'm not really sure what I feel about it yet. I'm still kind of like thinking about it. It wasn't bad, but I'm not compelled to continue reading the rest of the series. I understand that this is a trilogy, I think, and I have absolutely no desire to go and read the other two, so that's probably where my journey with that is going to end. Very successful reading week, all in all. We finished The Lost Apothecary. We started and finished the first volume of The Umbrella Academy, and we finished A Darker Shade of Magic. So already I'm in a really good spot. What we have left for the month: The Once and Future Witches. I've got about half of that left. As I mentioned in the TBR video, I'm cheating and I'm starting halfway through. So I'm starting at the halfway point, give or take. I was more into that one than I was into The Lost Apothecary, so I'm kind of going into it now with if I could finish The Lost Apothecary, I can also finish this book. That's kind of the energy I'm bringing in here. And then also I have to start and then finish The Yiddish Policeman's Union, which I'm actually kind of excited about. I have no idea what to expect with that book. And I'm hoping that it's interesting. I'm sure it will be. So on that note, I hope this has been an exciting vlog for you. I have had an immense amount of fun this week. I've spent way more money than I was hoping to, but I got some really cool things. And I finished 3 books, which honestly I didn't think was going to happen after the week that I had last week. But yeah, so we're good. We're thriving. And we're leaping into the next week feeling pretty good about ourselves. Feel free to follow me on all of my social media at Ink and Fig. I am the most active over on Instagram, which, let's be honest, the last couple of weeks doesn't really mean a lot because we're still coming out of whatever I was going through last week, but we're getting there. I am in the process of revamping my website, and I'm hoping to have some content up there shortly. And then I will have things over there to show you also. Don't forget to drop a like and a comment down below. Leave a comment telling me what you have been up to for the last couple of weeks, because we haven't chatted this whole time, and I'd kind of like to know what you've been up to. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, because now that I'm through whatever was going on, we're getting back to our regularly scheduled programming. So definitely join us for this journey. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far, and thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me. I am going to get out of your hair, but I will see you in the next one. Bye.